Okay, I think I'm live, although maybe not lively, but I am starting out this week or wrapping up this weekend, I suppose, recovering from being sick. Um, as it goes, being on the road all the time, you eventually get sick. If not more often than not. I don't know how Rob Ray does it. He stays somehow healthy all the time. I don't even think he actually gets sick personally. But no, here we are. Vlog episode 13. This is the 13th week that I've done this, minus one that I've missed. So 14 total weeks, I guess, have surpassed or have bypassed, passed, probably is the better statement. But yeah, let's jump into kind of where I've been and what I've been doing. I'll start this with the theme of this week is that I got to go to Canada last week, and it was really awesome for a number of reasons that I didn't really expect. But let's go through the numbers and we'll get into that. Okay. I have had 75 total presentations now this year. I actually did 4 last Monday. It just kind of works out sometimes that either with travel or other things, you end up having everything crammed in one place. Last Monday, the 5th, I did speaking with John Harden first thing in the morning. I then jumped in for the cyber call with the Verizon DBIR, the data breach investigations report, and then jumped into a quick lightning talk about my greenhouse for Cat that I built. It's an automated greenhouse project that I've done at a Home Assistant and a bunch of microcontrollers to try to let us grow peppers while we're on the road and traveling all the time. And then I did a 4th presentation, which was my actual vlog that I kind of recapped there. The 5th presentation last week was in Canada. So I flew to MSPGeekCon. That was on Sunday. I think that's probably where I got sick. One of the people I've been hanging out with let us all know that they were sick. I didn't know it at the time. Wednesday, when I flew to Canada, but I flew to Canada to do a presentation about compliance and security as a conversation starter with the CISO of Acronis. And I think that was a fascinating conversation, just the straightforwardness, the abruptness of it, how similar things are between us and them, but also between us and the CISO thinking about problems at a larger scale and a different impact, right? So it was just a very good conversation. And I think the takeaway of that was really like, it's kind of time to blank or get off the pot, MSPs. What I mean by that is like it's at this stage where there are so many things that are going to be the end of you, or perhaps the competitive destruction of you, or whatever it may be, that it's time to just get serious about it. That's it. It really is. Just get started, get going, get moving. Maybe you don't have to be in selling compliance services, but you certainly have to be selling compliant services. If you are selling them to people who need compliant services, they need to be measurable. They need to be able to be given evidence there too. All of that. It was a great panel. But moreover, it was great because a number of things. First off, there were just people there I don't get exposed to that I just haven't met. Right. There were a whole bunch of Canadians that I just don't know that came to that local event from Acronis, the TRU, the threat research unit that they have, puts together just a lunch and learn kind of thing that I was invited to come speak at in Toronto. And it was just a great set of faces, people in the VAR world, people in the traditional MSP world, people that see themselves somewhere between. There's also this kind of still this whole grass is greener aspect that seems to be playing out, but maybe not so much now with Canada. Wes McDonald said, glad you're on my home turf. Spread the word. Spread the world and the word. I'll take both. Wes, it's great to see you. I love you, buddy. I feel like there was an interesting aspect of kind of nationalism and pride going on in Canada that I think is wonderful, right? This kind of maybe we can do it ourselves. They've maybe perhaps been looking up to the US for long enough. And maybe perhaps if I'm stepping on anybody's feelings here, just make fun of me heartily in the comments. But it was a very interesting kind of shift towards just pride and we're doing it and we're crushing it and we're going to do it. And kind of all of that as it continued out. So yeah, but it was good, and it was good to get to have some of those conversations. Some of them more mature, some of them less mature. Some just getting started in their journey down this path. But it was really neat. And if they'll let me, I'm actually coming back to Canada 2 more times in the next 3 weeks for 2 other events. That's why I have on my little icon down here. If you look down the bottom right. 1 of 3. I also was pretty happy to see the Maple Leafs win while in Toronto. I didn't get to go to the game. I wanted to, but I guess I was already feeling fairly tired at that point. unbeknownst to me, and Kat and I just decided we were getting home early in the morning, so it would just be better for us. So that Wednesday after our event, we stayed and shook babies and kissed hands for a little while. Had some, I mean, just fantastic conversations. Um, I genuinely feel like the conversations were inspiring. It was really neat to hear different perspectives and get deeper into the cultural conversations and discussions there. It was really neat. And I think this is kind of the point I was making, Wes, is like we used to feel like an inferior little brother. Now we just kicked you too many times, and potentially it's growing up and getting there. And I think it's a wonderful thing for all of us. I think rising tides raises all ships, right? Same concept. Um, so that was cool. We fly back in, no challenges with customs, no challenges from the don't have your, real ID, blah, blah, blah. That wrapped up 4 flights for us that week. So that's 31 total flights this year. I didn't add any other additional educational hours in the sense that I wasn't teaching a structured class. And that's where I make the delineation there. We're now at 46 nights in hotels. That doesn't count time like crashing on on Tom Lawrence's or Wes Spencer's or not Wes Spencer or Jason Slagle's couch as friends, or while also doing stuff with them. So those don't count that. But 45 ride shares, 5 total driving trips. I think we're gonna change that again here soon. I don't know. 31 cities we've been in so far this year, distinct cities or cities that have been repetitively gone to in subsequent, non-sequential days. So changing cities between those. So it was a good week. I think the Acronis piece was awesome. I think the MSPGeekCon, gosh, I saved this to comment and discuss for last, but it was fantastic. I mean, it was fantastic for so many of the right reasons. It felt more like a hacker con, other than the names on the badges. It felt a lot more technical and discussions and free sharing of feelings and ideas, and not putting people down or up, or really just kind of, I don't know, mateism, I suppose. It was just awesome, I think, to have so many people feel like they belong. I think Tim Golden did a pretty neat post about it, saying, hundreds of inside jokes, lots of malort. God bless them, unfortunately. But it was just, I don't know. It's nice to see that kind of hands-off conference running itself, doing its thing, people sharing. I think the lightning prezos is such a cool concept. If you're not familiar with it, it's basically like, hey, come talk about anything, whether you talk or not, and here's your 7 minutes to talk about whatever you want to talk about, which helps build people that haven't spoken before, or even make it fun for people that have. Talking about my greenhouse project was a blast, right? For those of you that don't know, when we sold the company again for the second time, I told my wife that I would build her a greenhouse so that we would stop killing plants. And of course, I don't like to do things in a small fashion. So I got a 8x10 greenhouse that has multiple rows. I have physical failover for heat and cool, right? A wax cylinder that melts and opens a window for a fan that can evacuate the air, in combination with an air conditioning unit that's also done digitally, as well as a heater that's done digitally, and a heater that's done on a fail-safe circuit from a physical circuit that just dumps 1,700 watts. I put in 40 amps of power in this stupid greenhouse to be able to basically run any condition I need to for Cat while we travel, and for the most part be able to keep things alive. I haven't dealt with bugs yet. That's fun. I haven't seen how I'm going to deal with that. But anyways, I did talk about it, and it was well received. It was fun. I had several people come up to me and say, Matt, I never knew you were into this. I'd love to talk about that. And I think one of the great things about these lightning talks, or even the thematic aspects of what I saw at besides San Francisco, around this, like, find your people, find your tribe, find your crew. Well, you can't do that if you're not honest about what you like and what you care about and what makes you passionate, right? For me, ask me about what an asset is and see if we don't talk for 10 hours. But in the same way, ask me about microcontroller driven greenhouses and we can probably go for 10 hours, or motorcycles, or dirt bikes, or dogs, or German shepherds, specifically in that flavor. There's just so many of those things, and it's just really neat to see kind of conferences begin to, back to MSPGeekCon, lean into that. Wendy Nather did a cool talk. I talked about it a few vlogs ago about her husband passing away, and about how, the core theme of the talk was how to, like, walk back on bad decisions. This wasn't correlative, but it was one of those things where she had to, like, how do I take apart his office and get rid of the last piece of what was my husband, and those kind of aspects for discussion. But I just like the softer side coming in. You saw that with several people's talks. I don't want to take away from anybody by mentioning one and not the other, but MSPGeekCon was awesome. I think the Acronis TRU panel was awesome. I don't think the combination of crossing 2 countries, 2 cities in 4 days, with little room for error. Kat and I, between the Orlando to Dulles flight, we landed in Dulles. We were 22 minutes late with a 24-minute cut between flights. Had already cleared customs, right? So that wasn't a problem, but it was really just we're going to clear customs in Canada, I suppose. But we ran. Sent us a text message. They're holding the flight. When we get there, they weren't holding the flight. I knocked on the door, and for some reason, the captain ends up having to come back out and get somebody's laptop for one of the passengers. So therefore, because the passenger, the pilot came back out, I was able to talk them into getting us back on, and we got back on the flight, even though we were, 12 or 20 minutes past the boarding cutoff. Then we ended up getting there, not too distant from when we should have gotten there. And then, crashed and then did the Acronis thing the next day, flew home on Thursday. And then what a lot of people don't talk about is when you're traveling like this, you just have these things you just can't do or can't contiguously do in meetings, like the traditional discussions around stuff that needs to happen, right? The working sessions or the check-in sessions or whatever it might be. And so those all happened on Friday. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 meetings on Friday, all 30-minuters or a couple of hours sprinkled in there. Basically just to go through and catch up on all the stuff, right? There was CIS mapping review that I needed to do. I don't even remember who that second person is. I don't. Oh, I do now. I remember. It's something that's really awesome. I can't talk about. That wasn't on purpose, but here we are. Checked in on a security flight plan. We're working on trying to do a CIS group at PAX 8 where you have a weekly cadence where we're meeting, showcasing 2 controls, how you can solve them for yourself, asking you to do 1 action or 2 actions of those safeguards, and then come back to us in 2 weeks and tell us how you did it. So this kind of constant working through, but actually doing it. Like I'm going to use, I think Rumble or Run Zero now, because they give you 100 license applying or 100 seat license for free for you to use as an MSP as a great basis for 1.1, some extensibility of 2.1 for CIS and those kind of things, right? 1.4, 1.5, or 1.3, 1.5 also. So anyways, we met about that. I met with Stephen Kellogg to talk more about the involvement in CyberEyes. I did have several meetings about CyberEyes, and that is kind of this blended life, right? Like I live a life of both PAX 8 and CyberEyes and other responsibilities that all serve the same mission that PAX 8 wants me to serve, which is all of you getting better. In fact, getting better enough that I don't want to do this anymore. It'd be awesome. And so until then, I'm going to do my little part to try to enable. And that's it. So I have been sick, unfortunately, over the weekend. So I just slept all weekend, although I did work on a few projects and things that, because I never sit around. And then today worked on the CTF. There is going to be a CTF at Beyond for Microsoft with dope prizes that Dom and I are going to put together and share with you. Dom Britton and I are going to put together and share with you. And I just did some checking of some of the CTF stuff, make sure I'm not making them too hard. They can't be done. And testing on that front today with Dom for 2 hours. And we're going to keep building on that. But stuff about Microsoft license knowledge, stuff around crypto and forensics challenges, all kinds of, oh man, all kinds of different stuff. So that was cool. And then now I'm going to go into logistics mode and hopefully take a nap and wrap up for the week. But I just wanted to say thank you for all you out there that are fighting this good fight and working for less than you deserve and harder than you can to try to solve this mission. And whether you're healthy or sick as the moment sits, I unfortunately find myself in that latter category. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and I will come and kind of dump what I've done again next week. I'll try to stop doing these on LinkedIn as much. I really try to do them only when they have some crossover tangential value to the PAX 8 life that I live, specifically the Acronis aspect and some of those things. I'll also, so if you want to join me, come over to my YouTube if you want to watch that stuff there. I'll be more, I always post it there. I don't always post it on LinkedIn. And then the last couple things is because I said 1 of 3, I'll kind of elaborate. I love you, buddy. Wes, you're such a good dude. I can't click it from there because I'm not that smart. But it's over here. I can click on it. There we go. Look at that. Look at me being fancy. The other 2 that I'm coming back to Canada for, I am coming back not next week. I go to Birmingham this week, not England, but Birmingham, Alabama, to go play some top golf with some people as long as I feel healthy enough tomorrow. But I fly back to YVR, so Vancouver, and I have a dinner in Vancouver with some friends, Dustin Kassar and some of his other teammates. And then I'm doing a presentation of an IR exercise from IR Game from Bob Miller and his team for a bunch of executives that aren't technical executives. So there's a CEO Mackey forum that I'm going to come present for. And then I've got a dinner that evening on the 22nd. I've got a dinner that I'm bringing for a bunch of people. So if you're in Vancouver and you'd like to come and sit and pick my brain or just make fun of me, please join in. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. That'd be a good path to get a hold of me. And I'll see if we can't get you included. And then at least just some type of an event, I suppose, maybe not the networking dinner, but something. But please reach out and let me know if you would like to attend or meet with me while I'm there. And then we fly back. And then the following week we go back again, but this time we go to Calgary to go hang out with my boy at F12, Calvin Engine. I'm super excited about talking about my Voldemort and how private equity can lose a lot of money by not paying a lot of attention to important things. So I'm not getting to Montreal, unfortunately. Zach, I'd love to do it, and maybe I will one day. I think I should polish up a little more in my French, just so I don't embarrass Marianne Louvet while I'm there. So I probably have to step the game up before I can go to Montreal. No tease, just not in the cards right now. But anyways, thank y'all for being here. I'm going to the couch to try to relax away being sick so that I can get up in the morning and fly so that I can go do a Top Golf and a speaking thing on whatever the next day